Good morning and welcome back to the brand management class. We will continue from where we left off yesterday, and of course we are going to also witness or view some of the videos as exemplary cases of execution of brand management strategies. So while we are on the verge of starting, I request you to put in the chat box some of the concepts that you remember from yesterday's class. Please type in your answers in the chat box. All right. And I'm going to lock this meeting in about 5 minutes from now. And we are going to have a gallery view of all the participants. And I'm going to take a screenshot as part of the attendance also. So I request you all to join in as fast as possible. So what are some of the things that you remember from the previous class is what I'm asking you to put down in the chat box before we proceed. So this is what where we were yesterday. We had seen some of the participants as we went through the different aspects. So a couple of the screens are going to scroll ahead, and if you can catch anything worthwhile that you want to put in the chat box, please do so. So what are some of the things that you remember from the previous class? So some of the branding challenges we had covered with the brand equity concept. So while I'm telling you the main points, you need to put in your answers some of the sub points or some of the essential explanatory points from the concepts that we have discussed. Then we have proceeded to strategic brand management, and we have seen the process. So if you remember anything in the process of strategic brand management or with any example, you can highlight that. And then we've looked at the strategic brand management process vis-a-vis the concepts involved. So there are various kinds of concepts that would help the execution of the brand management process. So stepwise, we have looked at some of the key concepts, which we are going to look at in more elaborate form. And we will see that although everyone in the market has an idea about the entire process of brand management, what differentiates successful marketers from the not so successful marketers is the essential ingredient of how you execute. So like I was telling all of you, that you all need to start thinking about what you are studying. And of course, when I'm talking about this point, it obviously starts from the home aspect, which is when you're studying about brand, and you then realize that strategic brand management process is a very overarching principle that guides the company towards handling its brand, growing and sustaining its brand. One of the more humble and more emphatic ways of understanding this would be to kind of think about how you're going to use these principles in order to handle personal brand, beginning with yourself first. And of course, in every activity that you do, whether it is a club activity or some kind of program that you're arranging or some kind of a guest lecture that you're arranging or any kind of event that you're hosting while you are in the phase of studying, how do you ensure that your brand of the event or the event clubbed with the department and the university can gain more recognition? So how do you use it yourself? Because finally it is the application which is backed by a robust knowledge base that will help in the superior execution leading to some effective outcomes using the knowledge that you have. So that means that whenever you are thinking about the subject, the concept, the the process of acquiring the knowledge and applying it, not only from the point of view of gaining marks in the examination, but also in terms of the application. So therefore, going back and even seeing on your own with your own interest, different companies which have stood the test of time with their different brands or the different brand failures which serve as lessons, valuable lessons per se. Because everyone understands that notwithstanding the various challenges that prevail in the environment, failures are something as much to be considered and to be accepted as much as success. Because without failure, if there is not much of failure in a person or in an organization's life history, it means that there was no effort made in order to proceed. So there could be multiple efforts, but all the efforts may not lead to the desired outcomes equally. So which means certain efforts would amount to the successes expected or maybe beyond the expectation, and certain outcomes may not result in the kind of efforts desired, which means the feedback process in this entire strategic planning process, of which strategic brand management process is a part, happens to have the starting with the broad plan leading to the execution of different programs, finally finding out what went wrong or right, and taking the corrective actions in order to fortify what you have done correctly, and of course to take the corrective measures in order to ensure that the not so desirable outcomes could be looked at and could be introspected to lead to better results. Which means in your own sphere, beyond studying for exams, it is important that you realize how you would do certain things with respect to a business context, which means the first thing could be an internship perhaps, and looking at how you're going to use that in the company where you're going to intern. And it doesn't matter whether you're having a paid internship or a not paid internship. The fact of the matter is that if you're getting an opportunity to contribute to the business performance of any organization, big or small, it is an important opportunity that you must utilize to understand how can you leverage the brand further. And it all starts with yourself also first. So that is one of the things that I was discussing yesterday, saying that all of you are personal brands. You are brands which the responsibility of fortifying it or strengthening it or growing it is your own responsibility. So you utilizing professional networking space in order to fortify that would be the first, I would say, the infant steps in order to execute the principles of branding. Right? So when you start thinking about a brand or brand management, not as something which is to be done externally, but you internalize the process, you understand that the onus of handling a brand is as much to be thought about as you would handle yourself or your own business, is something to start off with. Because all brand management processes finally emanate from the fact that you would like to judge its success or failure in terms of the brand equity that it garners, it can mobilize from its customer base. So when we talk about different brands, whether it is a product or a service or a person or organization or an idea or any kind of entity which has to be named, and when you say brand, then the definition of brand comes in. And so it is a name or a term or a sign, symbol, or a combination of all of these in order to identify a seller or a group of sellers from others. So in order to do this, you will need to understand that the entity which is to be branded has to be taken into account. Its appeal, what is the purpose of that particular entity, whether it's a product, service, person, organization, idea, whatever it is. What is the purpose of that particular entity fulfilling the needs of the customer? Which means if it is your brand, also your personal brand, you are handling yourself, or you're going to, ensure that your own institution, your department, your university, your company, your employer, your business is going to flourish, you will need to understand how much of a brand equity does it have with respect to its customer base. So what is customer based brand equity? And that is where we are going to start off with today's session formally, is to understand that customer based brand equity is the differential effect that brand knowledge has on consumer response to the marketing of that brand. Which means, what is the effect of the brand on consumer response? Does it lead to better outcomes? Does it lead to more customers preferring the brand over others? Would it lead to greater purchase intentions and finally purchase outcomes? Would it lead to greater brand awareness? Would it lead to greater brand preference, brand choice? Because there are various aspects which need to be considered when we talk about the customer based brand equity. So what are some of the multiple aspects or the varied aspects of customer based brand equity? So these are basically arising from three broad aspects. One is the differential effect, how this brand name per se or a combination of the branding efforts, how is it contributing to creating differential consumer response? Which means, given the fact that there is a proliferation of brands in the market, given the fact that consumers are getting to know about different brands in the market through different media sources, through different reference sources, that is word of mouth coming in, not only from the companies claiming the superiority of their brands, but also the customer advocacy, that is customers, people, organizations actually recommending or advocating the use of brands among their social circles, among their sources of influences. So therefore, we need to understand how this differential effect is getting created. The second broad aspect would be to understand about the creation of brand knowledge for customers. That means as a company, you would know what your brand stands for, what your product or your entity stands for. Say yourself, you know what you're good at, what are your strengths and weaknesses, or what are the areas of improvement, what you're really good at. Now that has to be actually communicated to the outside world. So in the case of brand management for products or services and organizations and people and entities, you will need to understand how do you create the brand knowledge such that the brand knowledge results in customers knowing about the brand. First of all, knowing about the brand. Second thing is definitely it should be in a favorable manner. All right, but definitely the first thing would be to build the awareness. Now you could have also brands which are quite well known in the market, they have created adequate awareness, but for some reason, maybe due to some interim crisis or some kind of a business cyclical process, they would be in a kind of a downturn and may not be in a favorable light in customers' mind. But the first primary prerogative would be to have brand awareness, leading to the subsequent step would be to lead to various preferences that can be matched with the customer's needs and wants and likings and preferences, such that they come into the consideration set of the customers, right? So how or in what manner is brand knowledge built is another area of important consideration for brands. And we will look at some of the marketing strategies that have been executed by brands so that you have some fair kind of an idea. The third aspect would be the consumer response to the marketing. Ultimately, every company makes the effort of trying to make their brands better than others, be perceived at least as better than the other competitive offers. Now, what ultimately matters, the litmus test would be to understand how does customers or consumers who are going to be the users of the brand, who are going to benefit from the brand's benefit proposition, how or what is their response to the marketing activities of the company, right? So in terms of customers' choice of a brand, what would be the kind of recall that they would have if they are shown certain communications, which could be an advertisement in print or electronic. So which means if a certain kind of brand communication is shown to the customers, what is their reaction? And that's why I said in the when we try to elicit such information or responses from customers, we do it in a combination of qualitative and quantitative manner. We do not employ a single method. A holistic method is preferred because you're dealing with customers who are human beings, and their interactions with a brand maybe in a business context, but it happens to be in the social sciences domain. So social sciences, unlike basic sciences like physics and chemistry, you need certain combination of tools and techniques to understand the different nuances of human behavior as they think through themselves on different aspects, their psychological construct, their cognitive processes, their behavioral processes. But also what is important to understand is human beings interact with each other within the social context, which means the sociological background is important. And there are varied kinds of interactions. I would like to call it as interactions because it is something wherein the society influences the person, and the person also tends to influence the society. All right, so it's a huge kind of a multiple kind of interactions, and there are many variables involved in the process. However, for the purpose of understanding the differential responses that consumers may have to a brand, we might look at a few variables and tend to overlook or tend to consider other variables as constant. So therefore, you might want to understand as a company, when you've created a brand and you have created several propositions of marketing communications with different objectives, you would like to understand what do people remember out of those communications? What do they recall? from those communications that they would have been exposed over a period of time during their normal social interactions, but the brand has made the effort to reach out to them, maybe through a television or a radio or billboards ad or print media ads, or through referrals or through the retail store interface while people are buying the products, or sales promotional tools and techniques that have been used. People would like to know, which means the marketers would like to know that are consumers aware about us? Do they remember us? Do they recall us? How much do they like us? How much do they not like us? Who are the people who like us? Who are the people who do not like us? So there are various things that are required to understand customer-based brand equity. The next thing is the response to a sales promotion. Now, sales promotion per se is something to do with the fact that you execute different strategies and tactics in order to ensure that your sales can be promoted in a favorable way for the brand to be achieving certain objectives that the company has set out, the parent organization has set out. Now, sales promotion could be a very good tool in the portfolio of certain brands, but they may not be a suitable tool if you are trying to propose or market a set of brands which are supposed to be luxurious in nature, should be having an aristocratic profile, a brand personality built on sophistication, a brand which is going to be proposed to be built on its uniqueness of a class, right? So sales promotion could be good for certain commodity products, but they may not be good for certain electronic or high-end products, right? But basically, people in the company who are involved in the marketing of the brands would like to understand what is customers' response to a sales promotion. Now, why is a sales promotion done? I would request here some of you to give me some examples in the chat box. Please continue to give me some of the examples in the chat box about sales promotion. What is sales promotion? What are some of the ways that sales promotion is done? And we will look at that while I continue. So sales promotion basically would be to promote sales. So there could be different ways by which maybe a newly launched product or brand gives out different kinds of incentives to customers in order to buy more of a brand. It could be done during the festive season of a brand which is prevailing. It is not a new brand, but a brand which is there in the market. But in order to stimulate sales more than what can be expected had there not been any kind of special marketing effort, you would want to give certain sales promotional tactics. So what are some of these sales promotional tactics that can be used is what I'm asking all of you. So please put in your chat box if you've heard something like BOGO. Have you heard about BOGO? Have you heard about certain kinds of discounts? All right. So I'm writing in the chat box, give me the full form of this. I hope all of you are able to see this. And you will be able to give me the full form of that. And that is one of the ways by which sales promotion is done. All right. Now, if you were to ask, or if you were to propose to customers that, if you buy 3 items of a product, you get 30% off. And if you buy 4 items of a product, you get 40% off. My question to all of you is, will that be an example of a sales promotion? And how does sales promotion fit into the entire marketing communication of a product? How does sales promotion fit into the communication of a product? Now, I'm putting in another example, and tell me if this is also an example of sales promotion. All right. If you would have seen in the malls, when some new product is introduced, like a tea, new blend of tea, a new flavor of noodles, what do they do in the malls? It would be typically pre-pandemic. What was a typical norm by which companies used to try and entice or incentivize people to buy more of the product?
We'll be getting free samples.
Yes, free samples. So I was writing that, samples. What about this BOGO? So samples would have been given out. Do you remember samples of shampoo and conditioner coming in the newspapers at your homes? Although nowadays hard copy newspapers coming at homes has become rarer by the day, but I'm sure some of you would remember that there used to be samples of these soaps and shampoos being given out, or sometimes coupons being given.
Yes,
with the, with the newspapers. Yeah. So buy one, get one free. The short form is what we know as this BOGO. All right. So sometimes what we do is we try to entice customers into the retail outlets, or try to encourage customers to come and buy more of the volume of the products by saying that if you buy one, you get one free. You must have seen so many of these offers, right? Buy two, get two free, buy three, get three free. And then we used to joke and say, buy, 10 of the products and perhaps the entire store they will give free. Right. So which means that you try to encourage customers to buy more of the product. You would have heard about frequent flyer miles, students. The more you fly with an airline, the more miles that you gather, you also get discounts. You would have also heard about reward points in credit cards, or usage of certain cards in the banks, right? You would have also heard about loyalty points. Have any of you utilized your loyalty points from the usage of your debit card or credit card? So using all of these, you try to stimulate more sales. So what happens is, of course, the brand is very robust, but in order to ensure that your brand activation happens, sometimes the sales promotion has to be done. And sales promotion, as I was telling all of you, is part of the overall marketing communication tools that are available to a marketer. So just like advertising is one of the sales promotional tool, you also have the sales promotional tool of trying to give in different kinds of offers. So definitely customer-based brand equity, one of the considerations would be to see what is the response to a sales promotions. Are people responding favorably or not? Evaluations to a proposed brand extensions. Also, you need to see whether your brand can be extended into a similar category, like what Dove in the soap category had done, and then introduced shampoos and conditioner. But like I was telling you, for example, it might not be a good proposition, perhaps, although Dove has a very strong brand, equity, customer-based brand equity, but it may not be a suitable idea to extend that into washing detergents, isn't it? Because washing detergents require a certain amount of rigor, certain amount of harshness, perhaps, which the proposition of Dove would be totally diluted if at all they would do such a thing. But definitely Dove as a product or as a brand, and I'm talking about the Dove brand, not the pigeon, not the avian category. Dove as a brand would be a suitable brand which perhaps could go into different kind of skin formulations, where people could be persuaded to believe in the core brand proposition of Dove as a brand which is very much concerned about the sensitivity of skin, etc. Right? So that is why from soaps, it has gone into hair care, which is one of the important aspects in a category. Hair care is a category where people really rely on the trustworthiness of the brand, or how much safe the brand could be. So you don't want shampoos to be washing their hair and taking away all the hair in the process, and all the hair falls off. So you need shampoos which can clean, but which should also be safe and would not lead to unnecessary hair fall, right? So evaluation of a proposed brand extension is something that you need to look at. So what we need to understand is, while we look at, say, washing detergents and all, if you recall my discussion in the class, the same set of, say, Ariel or a Sunlight or Surf Excel or Vim, for example, have extended themselves into different product formulative categories. For example, from solid cake soap options to powder categories to, for example, different powder formulations, especially suited for washing machines. And then the branding has also been done that way, to the fact that they have also been extended into liquid soap category in order to ensure that it can be used by customers suitably. Vim from Vim Bar has gone into Vim liquid product formulations. So the brand has got extended into that as well, in order to take care of usage of the utensil washing detergents in the dishwashers, right? So these are some of the aspects that you need to remember about customer-based brand equity. The brand equity is also a bridge of the reflection of whatever has been invested in the brand from the past, and how you're going to connect that usage of the marketing activities and be agile enough to customize and make sure that your brand can stand the test of time, irrespective of whatever could be the challenges foreseen in the contemporary marketing environment, which means you need to be agile enough to ensure that you stand up to the test of time and respond to, or have a suitable kind of a response, not a reaction. You must be able to respond suitably to the competitive efforts that you might be witnessing from different competitors in your category. So for example, Sun Silk shampoo, with the advent of brands like Pantene and all of these, they immediately revamped their packaging. The formulation more or less remained the same, but over a period of time, Hindustan Unilever revamped the overall proposition of Sunsilk, which was there for about more than 2-3 decades at the time of introduction of Pantene and Fiamma de Wills and all. So the moment all these new brands of shampoo hit the market with their new formulations, the combination of shampoo and conditioner, different kinds of bottling, the different shapes of bottles and all that, Sunsilk, which was prevailing with the same set of the product and all that for a long time, immediately took upon itself. And that is why we need to look at the practices of market leaders. Hindustan Unilever immediately responded to the challenge that was there, because they saw that if they did not respond suitably and made themselves more customer friendly, they might lose the market share to the other new marketers. So it's important to see how you can make yourself respond to the needs of the market. And in this scenario, or in this context, I would like to bring the example of ITC, our own homegrown company, which really reoriented themselves, diversified into fast moving consumer goods, and has done a brilliant job at that. Being a tobacco company, primarily a company which was into tobacco products, and they felt the need to diversify primarily because of the challenge that was being seen in the market due to the possibility of a anti-tobacco campaign that was hitting the market, leading to perhaps public legislation which can ban tobacco sales forever in the market, which means the majority of their businesses would have been at stake. But if you see the kind of brand that, or brands that ITC has, ranging from paper boards and packaging, plastics and all of that, to the hospitality sector, to the fast moving consumer goods sector, you would see a brilliant mix of different kinds of businesses with equally robust marketing efforts. So making a brand strong is about creating the brand knowledge. So with this, what you see on the screen is where I would interrupt the flow of the PowerPoint, and we will go and look at some of the ways by which ITC as a company, if you look at ITC as a video case right now, you would look at the different marketing communication that the brand ITC has done for its different brands, for which we will today look at in the FMCG space, how they have created the brand knowledge with different kind of linguistic aspects taken into consideration, how the brand knowledge has been created with respect to the creation of a particular brand formulation, say if it is something to do with a food product, how that has been kept in mind, and the different kinds of memory implications has been taken into account, and different associations have been built into that, how commodity products per se have been taken up by this company and branded. And today people not only talk about buying a wheat or buying something, they would talk about buying Ashirvad or buying a brand. So almost the brand names have come to indicate the category per se. And we will also look at how the third aspects of making a brand strong is that brand knowledge needs to have two components, as I was telling you: brand awareness and brand image. That means, are people aware of the brand? And the image is what consumers carry in their mind. The mental image, the cognitive processing of the brand's different stimulus in the minds of the customer. All right, so we will take a pause here, and I'm going to run some of the live, what should I say, the marketing communication that has there with the company ITC. So all that we have been looking at, for example, we were looking at the aspects that when you talk about building customer base brand equity, you will have to look at creating different kinds of brands with different propositions. So what you're looking on the screen right now is the media center of ITC. And this is the ITC portal. You can access this also later, because there is variety of brands with this company. The brand portfolio is immense. And if you would like to understand what is the kind of brand portfolio that is there, the magnitude of that, please have a look at the businesses. All right. So for you to note it, of course, it's getting recorded, but the web portal or the URL is www.itcportal.com/media-center and / you can give index, or the moment you come to media center, you will get the host of it. All right. So media center will land you in this page. So here you can see the different businesses. So brands is going to be about what? About any product, service, organization, entity, ideas, all of that, right? Including people, places, all of this. So as long as you have some entity to market, certain things to satisfy the needs of the customer, you have an offering. So what does this company ITC have to offer? This has been planned in the form of different businesses. I hope all of you remember from the previous set of classes, or you might be going through your strategic management class. So you know about the strategic business units. Students, are you familiar with this term? Strategic business units, business divisions, right? See how these are getting implemented in your application, that is in real life. So here you see the different businesses of ITC in terms of fast moving consumer goods. So there within the FMCG, fast moving consumer goods space, abbreviated as FMCG, you do have products like cigarettes and cigars to foods and personal care, education and stationery, lifestyle retailing, safety matches, agarbattis and dhoop. So these the last two categories of the agarbattis and dhoop are something which is very unique to the country's cultural nuances. Then you have the hotel business of ITC, and then you have the paper boards and specialty papers, like I was telling you, the packaging unit, the agri-business, the agri-commodities and rural services. That itself is a case study altogether. ITC's eChoupal has made a name for itself. It's a huge brand in the agricultural space. So the eChoupal is here. All of you can see this. So branding is not only about just making a brand of shampoo or, a car or a, calculator or something to do with a biscuit branding or something. It's about overall seeing the objectives of the company and fitting in your different businesses with the different business units and seeing what kind of names you need to create for yourself. And sometimes it is the market leader's imperative to ensure that you become a leader in the market by exploring new spaces of businesses. Look at ITC Analytical Services, and then you have ITC Brand World. Some of the group companies are also listed here, so you can have a look at all of these, and these are again brands, right? So we said that because of the kind of magnitude or the kind of the expansive portfolio that we have, we're going to look at some of the fast-moving consumer goods of ITC and see how they have executed the branding strategy. Right, so I have clicked, and what you see on the screen right now is the practical set of examples from the stable of ITC pertaining to fast-moving consumer goods product. All right, can you name some of the competitors in the fast-moving consumer space for ITC? Anybody can mention that, unmute or mention or put it in the chat box. Which are some of the competitors of ITC? Karthik, Ravikiran, yeah.
The Britannia.
Okay, yeah, good. Who's that? Mention your name first, because
Shreyas.
I'm not able to realize. Shreyas is talking, yeah. Yes, Shreyas? You said Britannia or something, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, for biscuits, yes, very good. Excellent, right. Santosh, what would be some of the competitors for Ashirvad? Am I blessing you, Ashirvad? Is this what we're talking about, this brand?
Pilberries.
Okay, right. Not blessing, right? Not Ashirvad as in blessing, right?
No.
Okay, fine, thank you. Shoaib, tell me about Candyman. Shoaib. Karthik, tell us something about the competitor of Bingo. Ravi Kiran, tell us something about Papercraft. And Pranita, I hope you're here today.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us a competitor of Kitchens of India.
Ma'am, Swiggy.
Kitchens of India, Swiggy. Okay, why so?
I'm not aware of kitchens of India.
Kitchens of India, you're not aware of. Okay, okay. Anybody is aware of Kitchens of India? Ah,
PNG products can be taken as a.
PNG products. Okay, but most of these I've been talking about is fast moving consumer goods. So perhaps you need to look at that. All right, Karthik and Shoaib and Ravi, I'm waiting for your answers. Please put in your answers. All right. So for example, Pranita, so it becomes an element of curiosity for you to understand what is Kitchens of India. Therefore, all right. And all of you who have not yet answered, please look into this. So these are some of the brand. Now, why this has been put out would be because, Pranita, I'm not close with your answer. We're going to look at those answers also. We are going to look at your answer specifically with respect to the brand that I asked you. So be tuned in. And the moment you get the answer, you must let me know. All right. Now, what you see on the screen is again that combination that we said. What is a brand? Name, term, sign, symbol. Observe different colors, different ways of writing, different names. And see, for example, today itself, we have got a live example thanks to Pranita and my asking. Without taking any negative connotation to her response, I would say that this is one practical example by which Pranita has shown us say Kitchens of India from such a great company like ITC, but it is possible that the brand is still not aware in the minds of certain segments of customers, right? This is a possibility, which means why is it so? Why do you think somebody like Pranita is not aware of this brand? And it is possible that I am also not aware of many brands as well, right? So why do you think that although brands are built with so much of fun, affair, so much of initiative, so much of strategy, so much of thinking, planning, why do you still think that still there are customers who may not be aware of your brand?
Their target audience may be different.
Sorry, Shreyas?
Their target audience may be different.
Their target audience could be different. Okay, yes, of course it could be different, but you would see that it is possible that even Pranita is a target segment of Kitchens of India. Right. So it is possible that the target segment is different and they have not reached out, right? What else could be the option? What else could be the answer? Some customers do not know about the brand.
The advertising channels, what they use is not
Yes, Santosh, thank you so much. Indeed so. Yes, advertising channels could be different, could be done in a different way, and then therefore the customers are not exposed to it, right? And there could be many other. And the next most important thing is there's so many things that we are seeing. We are also perhaps losing the attention. So the attentive power of the customers is also very less. That is also a possibility. So the brands would keep doing their job. The marketers would keep doing their job. But how effectively are you able to communicate is one aspect. Do you remember once I was telling you about this catch masalas and the catch black salts and all that, and then I said I have forgotten the name of the brand of the black salt that I am using in the dining table. You remember that was Catch, but that time as I was recalling that brand from memory, see, most of these fast moving consumer goods, if they're available in the retail store, once customer goes there, once they see it, they tend to recall, okay, this is something that has got finished in the house. That's got finished. Okay, this particular product I need to buy. That perfume I have to take. Sun Feast biscuit I have to take home. You know, things like that. The moment you see it, you recall and you're able to buy. But without any kind of stimulus, without any kind of, stimulus given, if you are asked to recall a brand, that is where the actual litmus test comes in. That can customers remember a brand or recall a brand unaided, without any aid? If you're in the store, you look at the shelves and you see, yes, Maggie is here, Top Ramen is here. So you see that and you recall, maybe you have to buy it. You remember that your stock at home has got finished. So you buy it. But unaided would mean if somebody just asked you, which is your favorite brand, right? So it all depends on the cognitive processing which happens in the minds of the customers, leading to the fact that is that brand that they like, is it so much entrenched in their memory and their hearts that the moment somebody talks about it, it just comes up. Now, if there's an effort required to bring up that brand, which is possible, because sometimes you might ask a different question, which could be that, which is the most popular brand, or which is the most, which is the brand that you're most aware of, versus a question like, which is a brand that you love, right? Something you might be aware of, but you may not like the brand. It is very much, hugely aware in the mass awareness space. But something that you like, you might take a minute or two, or a second or two, to think about it before you can actually give the answer. So depending on the kind of stimulus, people's responses in eliciting the brand name could be different, right? So this is so what you see on the screen are the different ways that the brands have been built in. And as you have seen, that no matter how much colorful and trendy and the ways that you build the brand, but it also depends on, do customers know about you as a brand? Do customers know what you stand for? What is it that you make, right? So these are some of the things. Now let us proceed into the next step. So let us look at, for example, Pranita, I hope you are there. I am clicking on Kitchens of India. So almost many of you have talked about Ashirvad and Pillsbury as one of the competitors, right? Now Pranita has to tell me, now I'm exposing you to the brand Pranita, and then tell me please if you can let me know who possibly could be the competitors of this brand.
I think MTR.
Ah, bingo. Bingo as in not the brand, but yes, bullseye, right? Do you all agree? Shreyas, Shoaib, Karthik?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is one of the category, but yeah, it's not really that much aware of. It is available in a lot of stores, but see, this is what happens. The fun thing is, if somebody is not aware of a brand, they may not even think about searching for it, isn't it? But if you are aware of a brand, if you have to buy some ready-made, ready-to-eat kind of food, or ready-to-eat formulation, say upma to buy in the market, ready-made formulations, mostly we'll look at something like MTR. But the moment the same customer goes to the retail store, and if the retail store is actually keeping those particular type of brands, so if they keep MTR and Kitchens of India side by side, then customers are able to get exposed to that. They become aware of the different brands, and then they start choosing it. But if so therefore the role of the distributor, or the retail outlet, or the retail vendor in this case, for fast moving consumer goods is very, very critical. That is why the push pull strategy is becoming very important, has always been very important in the fast moving consumer space. So the dialogue was that, create the awareness of your brand through these television serials and advertisements and all of that, to ensure that customers come to the retail stores with the demand for that brand, and the brands must be stocked at the retail outlets, so that it should not lead to an out of stock situation. So there are creation, that is, you create a pull in the market with the help of advertisements that customers are aware of the brand, they come to the retail stores, they demand, but there is no stock in the retail stores. On the other hand, there has to be push initiatives also, wherein with different initiatives, you try to stock your products with retail outlets as a company, such that when the customers would come to the retail outlets and demand for the brand, the demand for the brand can be met with the available stock in the market. But what happens is, even with the retail stores, and it has been happening throughout years and decades, that if a brand is not so well known, the retail outlets, which is the B2B, between the selling company and the retail outlet, the retail outlet may not agree to give the retail space, retail slots to the marketer. So in many instances, that is how Eureka Forbes had started with their personal selling model of vacuum cleaners and water purifiers initially when they came in, because no dealer outlet was willing to stock their vacuum cleaners and water purifiers, saying that India is not a market for them. So nobody wanted to keep it. People were stocking refrigerators in the dealer outlets. You would find televisions in the dealer outlets, but dealer outlets typically refused Eureka Forbes products in those initial days. And that's when Eureka Forbes actually went ahead and had their personal selling model introduced. And then of course, Eureka Forbes personal selling model, the personal selling champions, has become a case study altogether, and they are one of the leaders in the personal selling market. So where did this come from? This came from the fact that the challenge of not being able to sell through the retail outlets at that time. Nowadays, of course, you have select models of Eureka Forbes, for example, being sold in the retail outlets as well. You go to a Giriya's or a Adishwar, all of these outlets, you will tend to find Chromas and all. You will tend to find some vacuum cleaners, some water purifiers, or some of these stuff being available. But that was not the case earlier. So what happens is this pull and push strategy has to be created by the marketers. So pull strategy from the customer side, making the brands aware and stocking it in the retail outlets so that the demand can be met. And on the other hand, if you don't create the awareness in the customer's space, if customers are not aware of the brand and the brand is getting stocked with the dealer or the retailer, then it could lead to the lack of sales, and that would lead to high inventory carrying cost for the retailer, and they would find it unprofitable to carry your brand. Right. So that's why in the fast moving consumer space or the home goods category, you really need to have marketing done for both the customers, the final end users, as well as for your retail outlets or the dealers, your business to business, your distributors, in order to carry the product. So coming back to the points of the customer's main point of reference in buying such products, fast moving. Why is it fast moving? Small units and high turnover of the products. So when customers get to a retail store, they often are exposed to the brand also and the competitive brands by witnessing the retail slotting that happens inside the retail stores. So this is one such product of Kitchens of India. So how do you come to know? A, you can walk into a store and find out. B, if you're not walking into a store, especially in the contemporary times, then adequate marketing has to be done by the brand so that people can pick it during their online purchases. Right? So yes, like MTR, variety of things are there. So what you see here, pav bhaji, pongal, yellow dal, aloo matar, and so on and so forth. So there are variety of such packaged ready to dine daily treats which are available. Just look at how they are named. All right, this is Nawab Kaju Halwa. So you have all of these here. So sweet category here. Now across the globe, please look at the global marketing. Students, I would like to draw your attention to the global marketing offers of Kitchens of India here, wherein they are serving ready-to-eat biryanis, ready-to-eat combo meals, ready to cook curry pastes, which are there, ready to cook cooking sauces, right? You would have seen the marinades and the desserts, fruit and spice conserves, and we have all of these which are meant for the global space, right? Now, what is this green and red on the screen? If you can see,
non-veg.
Veg and non-veg indications are there. So wherever it is to be mentioned, you need to also make sure that you're indicating that to the customers as well. Now look at the packaging. Have you seen the packaging here? It is not only about the kind of materials that you use, it is also about the colors, the graphics. So what is getting contained in the packaging has to be shown in the context of how it is to be used. So make it more attractive. That is why packaging, I'm sure students, you know, it's considered to be the last salesman of the product, the last salesman of the product. That is why packaging used to be at one point of time called as the 5th P of marketing. Remember 4 P's of marketing?
Yes, ma'am.
What are they? Classic 4 P's of marketing?
Product, place, price, promotion.
Product, price, place, promotion. And then packaging used to be considered to be the 5th P. And sometimes another P used to be added by the IIMs called the PACE, P-A-C-E, the time to market something, how fast you can get things in the market. PACE used to be also called as that. Right? And of course, nowadays we have the global 4 Ps. It is not only product, price, place, promotion, global 4 Ps of marketing enunciated by Kotler. I would request you to tell me in the next class, what are the modern marketing mix? Which are the 4 Ps of modern marketing mix? All right, now let us go to another brand. Which is the one brand that you want to see? You want to see Ashirvad? Yeah. Now let us look at the brand Ashirvad in order to see the kind of communication strategy for a commodity that has been branded with the name Ashirvad with different varieties. So let us have a look at this particular advertisement. Now what you see is here is that there are advertisements in different languages. All right. Can you see the screen right now? I have changed it and it is showing you that Ashirvad, that brand, and its recent TV commercials. So like we said, one of the ways by which awareness needs to be built would be definitely to use certain medium. Electronic medium is one of the most well-used, still going strong medium. All right, so television. And of course, there's a lot of implications on television today. You know, we have CTV, connected TV and all. So people are not really watching programs given by a certain channel at a certain time and all. People are getting to watch on demand. So people are streaming their YouTubes on their TV. People are actually seeing movies anytime they want through Amazon Prime and Netflix and all of that. And people are not just watching the news at the time that it comes on prime time, but they are watching news whenever and wherever from. And they're projecting their screens from their mobiles to the television. All of that is happening, right? So now let us look at, so a lot of things are happening in the television space. And despite the fact that today customers are owning and are getting exposed to multiple screens today, right? If you see yourself, introspect and see yourself, how many screens are you using? You might have a computer, you can have a television at home, and then you are using a mobile phone, you might be having a tab for certain usage. So there's so many screens that are there, and the impact on you from the marketers are from many points. At home, you are exposed to so many of these screens and their content. While you are traveling, you could have the radio, which is beaming and broadcasting so many things and multiple radio channels to choose from. When you come to work or you are in the college, again, you are subject to so many exposures. You are having so many webinars, so many content streaming, sources that are getting targeted to you. One aspect of all of these is the linguistic challenge, which means India is a land of diversity, not only religious diversity, the ethnic diversity, the linguistic diversity, and of course, all of this is because of the different cultures that are prevailing. So India has different subcultures. One of the aspects in marketing, something like Ashirvad as a brand, if we just take that, because we don't, you cannot really look at everything at a very macro level. So if you look at something like wheat is consumed throughout the country to different extents because of the different eating habits of people and the usage of the commodity like wheat. But primarily look at the fact that wheat as a commodity got branded, and ITC was one of the initiators in that space. Of course, you have Pillsbury, like I think Santosh was mentioning, Shreyas was mentioning. So that is also a competitor. But Ashirvad has really broken all kinds of paradigms with respect to marketing wheat. And what you see on the screen is that these commercials pertaining to Ashirvad is not in one single language. You have content which is developed in Hindi, Bengali, Kannada, Malayalam, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi, and Oriya. Right? So these are broadly the 7-8 categories. Here you see about 9 categories. Big Bazaar used to target 8 communities. Big Bazaar across the country used to target their marketing activities for 8 broad categories, which included the North, the Bengali, the Kannada, the Malayalis, and the Telugus, and the Tamilians, and the Punjabis, and the Oriyas. And to an extent, they had included even the Marwadis. So that used to be their marketing strategy. So different companies have those things taken into consideration in a country like India because of handling the challenge arising out of the community or the subculture. Each state has a culture of its own. So let us look at Hindi, for example, Ashirvad. Let us see how it runs. Right? All of you, are you all comfortable with Hindi? Or should I stream a Kannada, this thing, communication? Ashirvad Select Atta. First, we will stream one Kannada, I think, advertisement.
ಅತ್ಯದ್ಭುತ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ್ ಸಿಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಹಿಟ್ಟು ಮಧ್ಯಪ್ರದೇಶದ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಗೋಧಿಯಿಂದ ತಯಾರಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಹೆಚ್ಚು ನೀರನ್ನು ಹೀರಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಚಪಾತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮೃದು ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ವಾದಿಷ್ಟ ಬಹಳ ಸಮಯದ ತನಕ. ನೀವು ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ತಿಳಿಯಿರಿ.
ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಟಾ ಫ್ರಮ್ ITC.
Have you seen this ad before? Ashirvad, let's look at the next category, which is salt.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅಸಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಶೋ ಪೀಸ್ ಇದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಕೃತಿಕ ಸೌಂದರ್ಯ ಪ್ರತಿ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ಸೈಜ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಕಲರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಪ್ರತಿ ಟೇಸ್ಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್. ಈಗ ಉಪ್ಪನ್ನೇ ತೆಕ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮರೆತಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗಾಗಿ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಉಪ್ಪು, ಇದರ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕಾಳು ಭಿನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಕೃತಿಕ ಬಣ್ಣ ಹೊಂದಿದೆ. ಕೃತಕವಾಗಿ ರಂಗೇರಿಸಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಉಪ್ಪು ತಯಾರಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯ ಮಡಿಲಲ್ಲಿ, ಪೂರ್ತಿ 3 ವಾರಗಳವರೆಗೆ ಒಣಗಿಸುತ್ತಾ. ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಉಪ್ಪು ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಊಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಸಲಿ ರುಚಿ. ಫ್ರಮ್ ITC.
One of the recurring themes is that it is from ITC. If you notice, they are emphasizing that. Let us see one of the other Hindi ads of ITC, say, which is targeting a different segment. Tell me what segment this is targeting once you see it.
लास्ट मंथ पता चला कि मुझे शुगर है. मुझे तो लगा कि लो हो गया वाइफ का काम डबल. उसे सबके लिए नॉर्मल खाना और मेरे लिए अलग से खाना बनाना होगा. पर नहीं, काफी स्मार्ट निकली हो. आखिर बीवी किसकी है? वो रोटियां सबके लिए आशीर्वाद शुगर रिलीज कंट्रोल आटे से बनाती है, जिसमें मेथी और ओट्स जैसे नेचुरल ग्रेन्स है, जो इसके शुगर को धीरे धीरे रिलीज करता है. ये आटा हेल्दी ही नहीं, टेस्टी भी है.
आशीर्वाद शुगर रिलीज कंट्रोल आटा, गुड फॉर द होल फैमिली.
For whom do you think this is?
People
Sugar.
with diabetes.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, yes, right. Then so that's about Ashirvad. So you see that it is in different languages. Have you seen Ashirvad? The next thing which I'm showing you on the screen is this one. The instant mix: rava idli, rice idli, gulab jamun, rice dosa. Again, Pranita, do you see that this also could be a competitor of Kitchens of India, MTR as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so they can also have all of these combinations as well. Instant meals. Have you seen the packaging of the instant meals here? Ashirvad instant mini idli sambar, then instant poha. So it's in a way that you can actually take it and eat it. So that's how the packaging is also done. So how does what is the packaging? We said it's a last salesman, encouraging, influencing the purchase of the brand. It is also about informing about what the brand is. It is also about, making sure people understand what it is for. And of course, the storage and utility. So sometimes you need to store products like shampoo bottles you can buy for 500 ml. Or 1 liter. You're not going to use it at one go, right? So you need to store it. So that's how the bottles are made. But you might buy a sachet of shampoo for a 1-use consumption. And after that, you tend to throw it away. And it has to be made in plastic because it's a wet kind of a product and all of that. But if you see the shampoo versus conditioner bottles, in order to distinguish it, and again, ethnographics had shown that shampoo and conditioners, if they would have been made in the same kind of a bottle, normally the conditioners are the upturned bottle. You can make them stand on the top, bottle top. So the reason it was made is to distinguish it from the shampoo bottles, because ethnographic studies found that it was confusing that if shampoo and conditioners were the same kind, look, and style, the bottles were made in the same, packaging was the same, and it would confuse users when they would want to apply it in the bathroom. So that's why the bottle shape and look of the feel of the shampoo and conditioners were made different. So a lot of factors you'd have to take into consideration. Look at Ashirvad ghee. Okay, different pack formulation, different vessel size kind of a thing. and you have different kinds of spices as well. That's what Ashirvad is also into. So Ashirvad as a brand is not only into one commodity, which is wheat, but it is also into varieties of items which earlier used to be considered to be commodities, like spices used to be earlier considered as commodity because hardly you could make a difference between open ground turmeric powder or coriander powder and the stuff. All right, so these are some of the brand portfolio. So Ashirvad got extended into these kind of categories: salt, spices, ghee, and of course your wheat and all of that. Vermicelli to make your payasams and all of the ghees and all that, right? Then superfoods, organic products. You're seeing the different kinds of branding, pictures, all of that, right? So we'll stop at this today, and we're going to continue in the next class. Thank you so much for joining in on time, and I will see you in the next class. If you have any doubts, you can definitely connect on the learning portal, LMS. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Um,
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.